Me to start? Okay, hi, my name is Gloria Joseph.
And I am Bernard Joseph. This is my wife sitting next to me. We've been married for the better part of
Almost 30
years.
years.
Yeah, Friday. Was it Friday, Saturday, July 1st,
Yes.
1989?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 o'clock p.m.
I
That's
think
who we are. Yep, a golden couple. I present to you the woman that is everything to everybody in every way and at every time. And I believe that no matter what need that my audience within that world would have, or whatever they would need to deal with, I believe there's power and the adequacy, the enablement, the empowerment to be able to go in there and be a world changer. I know that my wife, beyond shadow of doubt, is a world changer. I mean, she is a world changer. She's very self-confident, and she knows what it means to go there and make a difference. She's really not a carbon copy. She's an original world changer. I'll be proud to present her to every nation and generation as the person that I know will make an impact and a solid, life-changing impression in any environment that she finds herself.
how would I introduce him? As one of the most outstanding persons of all times, as one that is able to rebound out of any and every circumstance and come back stronger, as a person that has been molded and shaped by God and knows the call of God upon his life, but also that is adequate to fill any space that is given to him, whether it is the space of a cook, the space of a pastor, the space of a father, the space of a counselor, any space that is created for him. I think he can fill that space and be effective at it. So if I were to introduce him to the world, this is the kind of person I would introduce as one that is good at whatever he does.
There was this youth camp that was supposed to be taking place at Londonderry in August of 1985, I think it was. I remember going to that camp. I was the one that suggested that the name of the camp should be Shekinah, because from my little knowledge of the Bible at the time, I knew that the word Shekinah really was the glory of the Lord. And so we called the camp Shekinah 85. And I went to the camp, nothing in mind, that's my first experience as a young man going to a camp, never been involved in camp business before. I knew what it was to go about and play music at different occasions, secular music that was at different occasions all around the island. But I had never been to a Christian youth camp. So I was looking forward to it. And it was at that youth camp, that I met Gloria.
It wasn't at the time a thought that I had in my mind that, say, I was going to a camp to meet what would have been maybe a boyfriend or to meet the person that would become my husband. So I would say that at that point in time, it wasn't part of my agenda. It was maybe a distant thought in my mind, but not very present. But we did meet at that point in time.
And I remember all the little approaches that were made and how I felt at the time that when I met her, although she didn't feel that way, to say the least, in the beginning. But when I met her, I knew that the Lord had connected us supernaturally. So if I should go back and kind of rehearse the whole scenario, it was at Shekinah 85. That's why I said that I gave the camp the name, the glory of the Lord will come down among us. And he sent me my glory right there at Camp Shekinah 85.
I do not believe that I, like they would say, fall in love. I did not fall in love there at that time because I had a number of questions in my mind. I knew that I wanted to know what God had in store for me. I knew that I was going to be very careful about not making a wrong move or making a mistake. and being stuck for the rest of my life with somebody that I did not want to be with or I didn't love. So I had my own presumptions at that point in time, but as uh, as the days went by and the weeks went by, I was able to confirm in my heart that indeed this was the person for me, and had it checked with people that I regarded and respected. At the time, my pastor and one of my very closest friends, um, and then and other persons were able to confirm that they think that this was maybe a match made in heaven.
She has a way of camouflaging things, hiding things. If you would not know, she was not able to express, or she did not want to express that she was the one who first loved me. So I'll take it there. I know I was very, very straightforward when we spoke the first time. I know she cried for the whole night when I told her that I was interested in the relationship. She had her own qualms about being a pastor's wife and having been so close to her own pastor's wife at the time. But I take the blame. I say I was the one that fell in love with her. And then I was able to persuade her quiet love. I was able to persuade the quiet love out of what I would say was my loud and boisterous and aggressive love.
I, like many women, when we were in our teens, we have our own definition of what the real guy would be. We have our terms of reference for him, qualities and things in the physical. He would have to have the kind of maybe physical stature that we were looking for. He would have to have some money in the bank, especially if we were the kind that came with a budget. He would have to have certain types of looks. He would have to have a certain connection in the world, maybe know people who know people. His family would have to be an upper type family. He would have to come from a Christian home. For me, because I grew up in church, that was one of the things. A person that can be my spiritual leader, but also came from a Christian background. So these were some of the things that I had in my mind as being ideal. But he completely changed my definition of what the real husband, not the perfect husband, because I don't think that I'm a perfect wife, and so I do not deserve a perfect husband. I just need a great man, and I think I found that great person in my life. He's brought out the best in me in many ways. Sometimes a little of the worst in me surfaces, but it's in me. But by and large, I have become a lot of who I am today. Yes, by the grace of God, but by the person that I accepted as my husband. And he plays so many roles, not only in my life, but in my family, that I think, and not in the family, let's say beyond the family, in the nation and the nations, that I think he's a true example of what a good husband ought to be.
My mom was strictly a homemaker. She raised, 16 children. Well, two of us died. Two of them died. But she raised 14 of us, and she was basically the home type of mom. And when we grew up at those times, I being a young pastor, the model pastor's wife would have been stay home, take care of the children, be sure that they prepared for Sunday school and all that stuff. And but when we met, we had decided that she was going to keep a teaching job because we needed that money to keep the family going. So the whole concept of her being able to do so many things and be so effective in the life of the church. I mean, she raised some wonderful children who are very respectful today and who play a very, very integral role in what we are doing as a family, which we name our family the Joseph Enterprise. And but the whole concept of her being able to fill so many shoes and so many hats, at one time, and still do them in a very admirable and creditable way, and I've seen great results, I must say. So I really appreciate the kind of woman that I have seen or I have come to discover after pretty close to 30 years. She wrote me a lot of letters. when I was in college, and that goes way back. And then I remember when I started doing itinerant preaching, traveling across the world, through the Caribbean, North America. She would sneak in those little notes in my bag, and you searching, and you always find a little card or a little letter that wishes you well, and then all these promises that I'll be meeting when you come back. That I can never forget. I can never forget those notes. To tell you the truth, I need them to kind of increase. but really, those can never be forgotten. The whole concept of you going out and you know that somebody is going with you. So you get to the plane, and she would write on some of them, don't open until you get to the plane, until you get on the plane. When I get on the plane, I'm looking, and something is stuck in one of the books that I have to read, or right there, in my bag, and I would read them on the plane. And sometimes a little tear would trickle down, Sandy, and nobody knows those things. But just that whole aspect of sharing those little private notes while I travel. Then I come back home from preaching one night. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I take the letter and I lie in the bed in the hotel room, maybe all by myself, and I take the note and I read it. Yeah, those gestures I never forget. Yeah, I want my son's wives to do that to them also.
Every day, as a couple, you face different sets of challenges, but we have been able to be there and stood together throughout all of those years.
Yes.
To me, that is the hallmark.
One of the verses that stand in foremost part of my mind is a verse that we use when we were dating, dating time. I wrote a lot of verses to her. Go to the Bible and picked up those verses and wrote all these Songs of Solomon verses, Proverbs 31 verses. And the one that stood up was many waters cannot quench now. Neither can the floods drown it. And one of the things I can say, the defining mark of our relationship today is the fact that many waters have not quenched all of, and the floods have not drowned.
Certainly.
And that is basically the defining mark. And looking back in retrospect, that is what it is. And I'm sure that's what our children see when they look at us. That's what people see when they look at us. Hey, this is a normal couple. They've been through the normal processes of life, the normal trials of life. But when you look at it, our testimony is, no matter how high the waters have reached, how rough they've come, how strong the winds have blown, we have stayed strong, and we're in love, and we're gonna die together.
We have become stronger, knowing that we were not fighting the battle against each other, but we were fighting the battle from without. Inside, we were able to consolidate, we were able to forgive, we were able to assess ourselves, and at the end of it, I think we are much stronger. It's like there is no other storm that we could face as a couple, that our relationship could confront, that it can win. And one of the things that my husband has always said is that when we fight, we must not fight for ourselves, we must fight for the relationship. And so any conflict, any confusion that comes, if we keep that in the fore, that we must fight for the marriage and not just fight for our rights. And I believe what we've been through as a couple is not just one incident. We have been through, and every couple on earth, whether they have been married a day, 2 days, a week, will go through, trials of different sort, whether it is financial, whether it is marital, whether you will face difficulties, but if you can stick through it together, and if you have a defining strategy, you can win. And I believe we are winners.
Yeah, I agree. We learn the tough way, and the tough way has toughened us, and basically, to me, the greatest challenge is, not the greatest excitement out of what we've been through as a couple over the last 30 years, and more recently 7 years, is the whole concept that we have a lesson that we have taught our children. They know what to prepare for. because we come to the point where we realize that marriage is just not once. It is two people living a life, two different people living one life, and once you understand that personalities are different, areas of making mistakes are different, perceptions are different, ways are different, upbringing is different, and we can come in there and when we face the strongest storm of life, be able to navigate this choppy waters, those high waves together with an aim, and the aim is we want to win, and that is why today we want to encourage couples like us that no matter what you're going through, you need to see yourself emerging as the winner. Your relationship has to win. It has to, and it can win. And that's what we've learned. That in the midst of all we've been through, that hey, we can look back in retrospect and say, this was not too pleasant, but thank God for it, because it has taught you your humanity, your frailty. Where sometimes your carelessness, your selfishness, your perceptions that may be erroneous, but in the same token that we realize that we were sewn together, we were mended together. If we are, then we must prove that ebony and ivory can exist on the piano, and create a harmony even in the midst of chaos and confusion and difficulty and hardship.
Love must not just be words, love must be action. Love is something of God, and to love is to have an element, an aspect of God's person in you, and that marital love is pure, marital love can stand test, marital love is of God, and that no matter what you go through, don't be one that bails out, but if you need help, that you would find the help, look for help, and don't be quick to just jump ship, which is something that happens these days. There's a lack of tolerance in love, but love suffereth long, the Bible says, and is kind. So be kind in your love, and let the love outlast the trials.
Yeah. Well, I also want to encourage, because people focus on that day of love, and it's like we put a lot of emphasis on that day of love. To me, love is a personality. If you love because you are love, you see, and if you don't have love on the inside of you, it's very difficult for you to manifest love on a consistent basis. And love exceeds the 14th of February. It exceeds Valentino. It exceeds Valentina. It exceeds Valentine. It goes beyond. It's the everyday thing that we do that manifests that sacred devotion, that sacred quality that we all possess. We may not all be loving, we may not all be lovely, we may not all be lovable, but we all have love. We all have it. And if we can discover it, and first of all, let it become a personal experience, and they do unto others as you have them do unto you. It's a personal experience. Then we become very considerate in manifesting that love. And one of the things that should keep us fighting for what we are engaged in is the fact that we must love the person that we are with so much that we should not want to desire to lose them at any given time. So I want to really encourage those out there who themselves might be looking for a definition for love in their own relationship. The first thing I want to say to you is find it in you. I cannot find love in my wife before I find love in me. My wife cannot find love in me, before she finds love in herself. Because the love which she's going to give me has to be a love that she has experienced from within her. You see what I'm saying? So I really want to encourage, and we want to, as a couple, encourage the people out there that your relationship can break through and can break free. And we're here for you. We're here to assist, we're there to help. To be a part of, share our experiences with you, growing up, because we did not have a manual that we had to follow for the most part. We had to learn on the job. A lot of things that you learn on the job. And if you can discover that, there is nothing, no mountain too high you cannot climb. No valley too dark you cannot go through, no tunnel too too scary that you cannot see the little glimmer of light or hope at the end of it. So we want to encourage everybody there in love, and that is working towards it, to find that trait, that characteristic, that sacredness on the inside. The Bible says love is of God, and love is God. So the true essence of it is having a direct connection with the Lord Jesus Christ, because He really is the embodiment, the epitome of everything that love is and what love is capable of achieving and accomplishing in any and every relationship.